For centuries, all of human knowledge was stored in one building. Then, one night, it all burned down. But the most shocking part, the fire wasn't an accident. Hey night owls, tonight, I'm telling you about the world's biggest oops moment in history. Before you get comfortable, please like the video if you genuinely enjoy it. And let me know in the comments where you're from and what time it is. I'm always curious who's following from around the world. Now dim the lights, get cozy, and let's journey to history's most tragic we can't find the control fly Z moment. Congratulations, you just woke up in 391 AD. Good news, you're a librarian at the world's largest library. Bad news, tonight, that library will burn, and you'll be the only one who doesn't know how it happened. Your name is Demetrius, and you work at the Great Library of Alexandria. Think of it as the physical version of Wikipedia before the internet, except it's not fireproof and has no backup. But you don't know yet how big a disaster you're about to witness. Walking through the library corridors, you're surrounded by 700,000 papyrus scrolls. To put this in perspective, an average book today is 300 pages. This collection equals roughly 2. If you tried to download this information today, it would be about 23 gigabyte of data. For that time period, this was humanity's Google Drive. But you're a librarian, not Google's CEO. And right now, your job is getting complicated because Alexandria isn't as powerful as it used to be. The Roman Empire conquered the city years ago, and these new Christian rulers really don't like the pagan books in your library. Every day you feel this tension growing. During evening hours, when the last visitors leave, the library's magical silence descends. That moment when you're alone among thousands of scrolls, it's like being lost on Reddit at midnight. Except instead of internet, there's real knowledge around you. But tonight is different. There are sounds coming from the door. You hear strange footsteps in the corridor. Nobody should be here at this hour. Curious, you approach the door, and what you see surprises you. A group of monks, led by Bishop Theophilus, enter with torches and determined expressions on their faces. You pause. What would you do? A. Politely remind them that visiting hours are over. B. Hide and watch what they're planning to do. C. Quickly try to save the most valuable books. Unfortunately, Google Translate didn't exist back then, so understanding their Latin conversation is a bit challenging. But from their body language, you understand they're not here just to read books. Those torches in their hands look menacingly intentional. No librarian training course ever prepared you for this scenario. And right then, the words you hear freeze your blood. The books of God's enemies, says the bishop. These poison the Christian soul. You know from viral internet videos that things usually go bad from this point. You quickly start assessing the situation, looking at the scrolls around you. Aristotle's lost works, Archimedes' mathematical discoveries, Hipparchus' astronomy studies, Eratosthenes' world measurements. If this knowledge is lost, humanity will go backwards by at least 1,000 years, and you're the only person here to prevent it. Your heart starts racing, but the truly terrifying part hasn't even begun yet. One of the bishop's men is walking toward the most valuable section, the secret archive. That's where only top-level academics can enter. Inside are the rarest pieces of knowledge from the ancient world. Today, you could find this type of information in the darkest corners of the dark web. Except it's physical and much more valuable. But you have something they don't know about, a secret passage. Yes, as every great ancient library should have. There's a secret passage here too, because ancient librarians were just as paranoid as modern IT experts. They always knew there needed to be a plan B. This secret passage leads to a small room under the library. You can hide copies of the most valuable works there. It's like a manual backup system, but time is running out. The torch sounds are getting closer. You quickly make a decision. You calculate that you can save 20-30 of the most valuable scrolls, which knowledge is critical for humanity. Mathematics, philosophy, medicine, astronomy. It's like choosing the most important files to download to your phone at the last minute. Except this time it's not about your phone but humanity's future. And right at this moment, a voice you hear turns all your plans upside down. Demetrius, where are you? This voice sounds familiar. It's your librarian friend Marcus. But what's he doing here? He should have gone home already. You run toward him. When you find him, what you see surprises you. Marcus has a large sack in his hand, with papyrus scrolls inside. Marcus, what are you doing? You saw them too, right? He says breathlessly. The bishop's men. They're going to burn the entire library. You can't believe it. Another catalog? How is this possible? You ask. Apparently, multiple copies of the catalog were made and hidden in different locations. This one was in the basement of a Christian monastery, hidden by a sympathetic monk. This news opens up incredible possibility. With multiple catalogs, you can cross-reference and find even more lost works. And then the young scholar tells you something that will change history. Master, there's something else. The scholars in Italy are planning something big. What kind of plan? They want to gather all this rediscovered knowledge in one place again, create new centers of learning. Your blood freezes. Isn't this exactly what we tried to prevent? No, Master. This is different. They want to create many centers connected to each other, like a network of libraries. You smile. This is exactly what you had envisioned. And Master, they want to call this movement Renaissance, rebirth. At that moment you realize that everything you did that night is coming full circle. But then you receive the most shocking news of all. Another messenger arrives, this time from Alexandria. The city is rebuilding. What do you mean? New scholars have come. They're establishing a new library, and they're asking for the knowledge that was saved. This is incredible. Alexandria is rising from the ashes. They specifically asked for the catalog you saved. They want to rebuild the library using that as a guide. You look at Hypatia, now much older but still brilliant. Should we give them the catalog? She smiles. Demetrius, the catalog was never meant to be hoarded. It was meant to be used. And as you prepare to send the catalog back to Alexandria, you realize something profound. That night in Alexandria, you thought you were witnessing the end of knowledge, but you were actually witnessing its transformation. Knowledge didn't die that night. It learned to travel, to hide, to survive, to multiply. The fire that was meant to destroy knowledge actually made it stronger, because now, instead of existing in one place, it exists everywhere. Instead of being controlled by one institution, it belongs to all humanity. Years later, as an old man, you receive a visitor that brings everything full circle. A young woman approaches your desk. Master Demetrius? Yes, my name is Anna. I'm from Alexandria, the new Alexandria. Your heart skips a beat. Someone from the new Alexandria. I came to thank you. Thank me for what? For saving my education, the school I attend, the books I read, the knowledge I'm learning. It all came from what you saved that night. Tears come to your eyes. This young woman represents the future you helped create. Master, I have a question. Why did you do it? Why did you risk everything for knowledge? And your answer to her becomes the moral of the entire story. You think for a long moment, then say, because knowledge is the only thing that makes us human. What do you mean? Animals survive. Humans learn. Animals live in the present. Humans carry the past and build the future. Anna nods, understanding, and most importantly, you continue. Knowledge doesn't belong to us. We belong to it. We are just its temporary guardians. So you were protecting something bigger than books. Yes, we were protecting the future. And then you tell her the most important lesson of all. Anna, do you know what the real Library of Alexandria was? She thinks. The building that burned. No, the real Library of Alexandria was never a building. It was an idea. She looks confused. You explain. The idea that all human knowledge should be preserved, shared, and passed on. That's the real library. So the library never really burned. Exactly, the building burned, but the idea spread. It's in Byzantium, Baghdad, Cordoba, Rome, and now in the new Alexandria. Anna's eyes light up with understanding. So I'm part of the Library of Alexandria? Yes, every student who learns, every teacher who teaches, every scholar who discovers something new, they are all part of the Library of Alexandria. As Anna prepares to leave, she asks you one final question. Master, what do you think will happen to knowledge in the future? You look out the window, at the ships in the harbor, at the scholars walking with books under their arms, at the students gathered in discussion groups. I think knowledge will do what it has always done. You say, it will find a way, even if there are more fires, more people who try to destroy it, especially then. You see, Anna, we learned something important that night. You can't kill an idea by burning books. Then how do you kill an idea? You stop people from wanting to learn. But as long as there are curious minds like yours, knowledge will never die. After Anna leaves, you sit alone and reflect on that incredible night. It's been 40 years since the fight. You're now an old man, but your mind is still sharp. As you look back on that night, you realize something extraordinary. That night wasn't the worst night in the history of knowledge. It was the best because it taught humanity the most important lesson. Knowledge is too valuable to trust to any single place or institution. That night, knowledge learned to survive, and as you write in your journal that evening, you record the final Today I realized that what happened in Alexandria wasn't a tragedy, it was a graduation. What do you mean by graduation? Knowledge graduated from being a prisoner to being free, from being owned to being shared, from being local to being universal. You pause in your writing, remembering Hypatia's words from so long ago. She was right. We didn't save books that night. We liberated knowledge. And then you write something that future historians will call prophetic. I predict that one day, all human knowledge will be available to every human being, instantly, regardless of where they are. This seems impossible in your time, but you somehow know it will happen. People will carry this knowledge in small devices, smaller than a scroll, but containing more information than our entire library. You're describing smartphones and the internet, of course, though you don't know these words. And when that day comes, they will remember us, the librarians who refuse to let knowledge die. On your final night you have a vision that brings everything together. You're very old now, lying in bed. In your dream, you see a vast network of light spreading across the world. Each point of light is a library, a school, a scholar, a student. They're all connected, sharing knowledge instantly across vast distances. You see students in far-off lands reading Archimedes' works that you saved. You see astronomers using Hipparchus's star catalogs to explore the heavens. You see the catalog you preserved being used to rediscover thousands of lost works. And you see something else. Millions of people in a time you can't even imagine, carrying all human knowledge in their hands. And in your final moments, you understand the ultimate truth. Knowledge is not about books. It's not about buildings. It's not about institutions. Knowledge is about connection. The connection between past and future. The connection between teacher and student. The connection between one curious mind and another. That night in Alexandria, you didn't just save books, you saved the connections, and those connections grew into a network that spans the globe and reaches through time. And as you close your eyes for the last time, you whisper the words that complete the circle. The library never burned, it just learned to fly. And now, as you listen to this story, you realize something incredible. You are part of this network. The device in your hands contains more knowledge than the entire library of Alexandria. The story you just heard was preserved and passed down through the same network that Demetrius helped create. Every time you search for information, you're using the catalog system that started with those ancient librarians. Every time you share knowledge with someone else, you're continuing the mission that began that night in Alexandria. You are not just hearing about the Library of Alexandria. The network that Demetrius imagined, where all human knowledge would be available to everyone instantly, is now real. It's called the Internet, and you're part of it. So tonight, as you go to sleep, remember this. Knowledge didn't die in Alexandria. It escaped. It spread. It multiplied. It became free. And now it lives in your pocket, in your computer, in your mind, and in every curious question you've ever asked. The real Library of Alexandria was never a building. It was an idea.
And that idea is immortal. Sweet dream. And remember, every time you learn something new, you honor the librarians who risked everything to make sure knowledge would survive. The fire that tried to end knowledge actually freed it forever. And that, my friends, is how a single night of flames became humanity's greatest victory. But wait, there's more to this story that historians never discovered. 300 years after Demetrius's death, a young monk named Brother Thomas is cleaning out an old monastery library in Constantinople. As he moves ancient scrolls, he discovers something hidden behind a loose stone in the wall. A leather-bound journal with a familiar name on the cover. Demetrius of Alexandria. This can't be. Thomas whispers to himself. This is just a legend. But as he opens the journal, he realizes this isn't just any document. This is Demetrius's personal diary from those final years, containing secrets that were never meant to be shared. And the first entry Thomas reads makes his hands tremble. Year 35 after the Great Fire. I must record what I have never told anyone, not even Hypatia. The truth about why we really saved those books. Thomas can barely breathe. What truth could be more incredible than what was already known? We weren't just preserving knowledge, we were preserving a warning. A warning about what's coming. Thomas flips through the pages frantically. What warning? What was coming? And then Thomas finds an entry that changes everything he thought he knew. Today I received a message from our contact in Rome. The pattern is accelerating. Every 500 years it happens again. The great forgetting. The systematic destruction of knowledge. Thomas's mind races. Every 500 years. Alexandria was not the first. There was another great library, destroyed exactly 500 years before, and 500 years before that. Someone or something is orchestrating this. Thomas realizes he's discovered evidence of a conspiracy spanning millennia. As Thomas continues reading, he discovers Demetrius had uncovered something terrifying. Hypatia and I spent years analyzing the pattern. The destructions are too precise to be coincidental, too organized to be natural. Someone has been systematically setting back human progress. But who could have such power? And why? We believe there is a secret organization older than any empire that profits from keeping humanity ignorant. Every time we get too close to certain truths, they act. Thomas drops the journal. This is bigger than he imagined. And then Thomas reads something that makes his blood freeze. The next destruction is calculated. If our calculations are correct, they will target the House of Wisdom in Baghdad. Thomas checks his calendar. The current year is 8982 years to go. By the time anyone reads this, I will be dead. But if someone finds this journal, they must warn Baghdad. The pattern must be broken. Thomas realizes he's been chosen by history itself to prevent the next great catastrophe. But as Thomas prepares to leave for Baghdad, he discovers he's not alone. A shadow moves in the monastery corridor. Someone else is there. Brother Thomas, a voice calls out. We need to talk. Thomas spins around. 3 figures in dark robes are approaching. One of them removes his hood. It's the monastery's head librarian, Brother Marcus, but his expression is different, cold, calculating. We know you found the journal. And then Brother Marcus reveals a truth that shakes Thomas to his core. Brother Thomas, that journal was placed there for a reason. We've been waiting for someone to find it. We, the same organization Demetrius wrote about. We've been protecting humanity's ignorance for 2,000 years. Thomas can't believe it. The monastery itself is part of the conspiracy. You see, brother, some knowledge is too dangerous for humanity to possess. We are the guardians of ignorance, and we're very good at our job. But then Thomas makes a discovery that changes the entire game. As the hooded figures advance toward him, Thomas clutches the journal tighter. Suddenly, something falls out from between its pages, a small metal key. Brother Marcus stops. His eyes widen in recognition and fear. Where did you get that key? It was in the journal. That key opens something that should never be opened, something we've been guarding for centuries. But what could be so important that it's been hidden for hundreds of years? and the key leads Thomas to a discovery that will rewrite history. Following the journal's hidden instructions, Thomas finds himself in the deepest catacombs beneath Constantinople. The key fits perfectly into a door that hasn't been opened in centuries. Inside, Thomas discovers something impossible, a vast underground chamber filled with books, scrolls, and documents. But these aren't ordinary books. These are the real lost works from every destroyed library in history. Alexandria was just the latest in a series of staged destruction. Signs on the walls indicate sections from the Library of Babylon, 1891 BC, from the Library of Carthage, 1406 BC, from Alexandria, 3091 AD, and hundreds more. And then Thomas finds something that explains everything. In the center of the chamber stands a massive table with maps, charts, and calculations. This is clearly a command center. On the table, Thomas finds a document titled The Great Deception, a Millennium Plan. As he reads, Thomas realizes the horrible truth. Every major destruction of knowledge in history was actually a transfer. The books weren't burned. They were moved here. But why? Who would want to hoard all human knowledge? The answer comes from an unexpected source. Impressive, isn't it? Thomas spins around. An elderly man in expensive robes is standing in the doorway. Despite his age, his eyes are sharp and calculating. Who are you? I am the current keeper of the collection. My family has held this position for Thomas realizes he's face to face with the mastermind behind centuries of deception. Why? Why steal humanity's knowledge? The keeper smiles coldly. Because knowledge is power, and power should belong to those wise enough to use it properly. And then the keeper reveals the true scope of their operation. Do you think Alexandria was the only place we controlled? We have operatives in every major library, every center of learning, every royal court. Thomas is horrified. How many people are part of this? 1,000 kings, bishops, scholars, librarians, all working to ensure that knowledge flows only where we direct it. The keeper gestures to the vast collection around them. This is the real Library of Alexandria, the real house of wisdom, the real collection of all human knowledge, and we decide who gets to see it. But then Thomas discovers something that gives him hope. As the keeper continues his monologue, Thomas notices something carved into the stone wall behind him. D.A. The network lives. Look for the 7 stars. Demetrius of Alexandria. He had been here. But what does the network lives mean? And what are the 7 stars? Thomas realizes that maybe, just maybe, Demetrius and his fellow librarians had planted something here, a way to fight back against this ancient conspiracy, and the 7 stars turn out to be more than just a symbol. While the keeper is distracted, Thomas examines the carving more closely. The 7 stars aren't just decorative. They're a map. Each star corresponds to a location where Demetrius and his network hid backup copies of the stolen knowledge. Thomas memorizes the locations: Rome, Baghdad, Cordoba, Cairo, Paris, London, and one more that's partially obscured. But how can he escape to warn these locations? The escape comes from the most unlikely source. Suddenly, the chamber fills with smoke, fire. But this isn't an accident. Through the smoke, Thomas sees figures in familiar robes. But these aren't the keeper's men. These are genuine monks, and they're here to rescue him. Brother Thomas, one of them shouts, "This way." As they flee through secret passages, the lead monk explains, "We are the Order of the 7 Stars. Demetrius founded our organization 300 years ago. We've been waiting for someone to find that journal. The network was real, and it survived." And as they escape, Thomas learns about the true scope of the resistance. Brother Thomas, what you discovered tonight proves what we've suspected for generations. The great library destructions were staged. How long have you known? Demetrius left detailed instruction. We've been secretly copying and redistributing the real knowledge for centuries. Thomas realizes that while the Keeper thought he was controlling knowledge, the Seven Stars Network had been undermining him the entire time. Every book they stole, we copied. Every scholar they silenced, we rescued. Every library they destroyed, we rebuilt in secret. But then they face their greatest challenge yet. Brother Thomas, we need your help. The Keeper's organization is planning their biggest operation yet. What operation? They're going to destroy all 7 of our hidden libraries simultaneously. If they succeed, this time the knowledge really will be lost forever. Thomas realizes that everything Demetrius worked for is about to be destroyed when, tomorrow night, the winter solstice, they believe it has symbolic power. Thomas looks around at the faces of the 7 Stars monks. These brave men and women are the last defense against the complete loss of human knowledge, and the final battle begins with an impossible mission. We have to warn all 7 locations in one night. It's the only way. If even one location survives, we can rebuild. Thomas realizes this is exactly what Demetrius faced that night in Alexandria. Except now the stakes are even higher. The 7 Stars Network has grown into a sophisticated operation. They have messenger birds, secret signals, hidden routes between cities. Brother Thomas, the leader, says, you found Demetrius's journal. You have the knowledge of the ancient conspiracy. Will you help us? And Thomas makes the same choice Demetrius made centuries before. Yes. Let's save human knowledge. Again, the night that follows becomes legend. 7 teams, each racing to a different city. Thomas himself heads to Baghdad, carrying copies of the most critical works. As he rides through the night, he thinks about Demetrius making the same desperate journey centuries ago. But this time, they have advantages Demetrius didn't have. The network is prepared. They have safe houses, loyal allies, and most importantly, they know their enemy. And in Baghdad, Thomas discovers something that changes everything. When Thomas arrives at the House of Wisdom, he's met by a familiar sight: scholars and librarians working frantically to save books, just like that night in Alexandria. But there's a difference this time. We received your message, says the head librarian, but we were already prepared. We've been preparing for this night for 50 years. Thomas is amazed. How did you know? Because we found something. Come. In the basement of the House of Wisdom, Thomas discovers another cache of Demetrius's documents, and these documents reveal Demetrius's master plan. Thomas read this. The document is titled Instructions for the Counter Network, to be opened only when the Great Test comes. As Thomas reads, he realizes that Demetrius had predicted this night centuries ago. The Keepers believe they control the flow of knowledge, but they are wrong. Knowledge wants to be free. Our network will ensure that for every book they hide, 10 copies spread throughout the world. Demetrius had planned not just to save knowledge, but to make it impossible to control. And that night, something miraculous happens. As the Keeper's forces attack all 7 locations, they discover that the libraries are empty, not because the books were destroyed, but because they were everywhere. Over the centuries, the 7 Stars Network had copied every single work thousands of times. The libraries the Keepers attacked were just the real knowledge was distributed among hundreds of small libraries, monasteries, schools, and private collections throughout the known world, and the Keeper realizes he has been completely outmaneuvered. Standing in the empty chamber that once held his collection, the Keeper finally understands the magnitude of his defeat. How? He whispers. A voice from the shadows answers. because you never understood the true nature of knowledge. Its brother Thomas, no longer afraid. You thought knowledge was a thing to be owned, but knowledge is alive. It grows, it spreads, it evolves. The Keeper's 1,000-year reign of ignorance is over, and Thomas delivers the final blow. You want to know the most beautiful part of Demetrius? The Keeper glares at him silently. Every person you recruited to your conspiracy, every librarian, every scholar, every monk you thought was working for you. Thomas smiles. Half of them were actually working for us. For centuries, we've been using your own network against you. The Keeper realizes that his greatest strength, his network of agents, was actually his greatest weakness. And as dawn breaks, a new age of knowledge begins. With the conspiracy exposed and defeated, libraries around the world begin openly sharing their collections. For the first time in a millennium, the artificial scarcity of knowledge, and scholars who had been working in isolation discover that their colleagues in distant lands have been working on the same problems. Breakthroughs that might have taken centuries happen in years. This is the true beginning of what history will call the Renaissance. But the most beautiful moment comes when Thomas returns to Constantinople. In the monastery where it all began, Thomas finds something waiting for him, a new journal, written in Demetrius's familiar handwriting. But how is this possible? Demetrius died centuries ago. As Thomas opens the journal, he realizes the truth. This isn't Demetrius's writing. It's the collective wisdom of hundreds of librarians who followed in his footsteps, all writing in his name. The journal continues to grow, filled by each generation of knowledge guardian, and the final entry in the journal brings everything full circle. To whoever reads this in the distant future, you hold in your hands the proof that knowledge cannot be destroyed, only hidden, and what is hidden can always be found again. Thomas adds his own entry. The network lit, the knowledge spreads, the light grows brighter. And as he writes, Thomas realizes that he's become part of something eternal, not just a librarian or a monk, but a link in the chain of human knowledge that stretches from the ancient past to the unknowable future. And if you listen carefully on quiet nights, they say that in libraries around the world, if you know where to look, you can still find traces of the Seven Stars Network, hidden symbols carved into reading desks, books that appear and disappear, mysterious librarians who seem to know more than they're saying, because the network never really ended. It just evolved, adapted, grew. Today it exists in ways Demetrius never could have imagined. Every time you search for information online, every time you share knowledge with a friend, every time you learn something new and pass it on, you're continuing the mission that began that night in Alex.
The conspiracy to control knowledge is still out there too. There are still those who profit from ignorance, who benefit from keeping people uninformed, who try to restrict access to learning. But they will never win, because knowledge, as Demetrius learned, is not a thing. It's a force, a living force that cannot be contained, controlled, or killed. And that force lives in you. Every curious question you ask, every fact you verify, every truth you seek, you are the latest generation of the Guardians. You are the network. The Library of Alexandria never burned. It just learned to live in human hearts and minds instead of buildings. And as long as there are people like you, people who refuse to accept ignorance, who insist on seeking truth, who share what they learn with others, the library will never die. Sweet dreams, Guardian. The knowledge is safe in your hands. But what if I told you this story isn't over? What if the network Thomas saved is still active today? Sarah Chen, a computer scientist at Stanford, is working late in her office when she receives an encrypted email that will change everything she thought she knew about the internet. The subject line reads, "The Seven Stars Protocol, activation required." And when Sarah opens the email, she discovers something that shouldn't exist. The email contains detailed schematics of internet architecture that won't be developed for another decade, quantum encryption protocols that are still theoretical, and most shocking of all, references to a digital Alexandria project that she's never heard of. At the bottom of the email, a simple signature, "The network remembers." Sarah's hands are shaking. Who could have sent this? And how do they know about her secret project? Because Sarah has been working on something revolutionary, a way to make all human knowledge permanently indestructible and accessible to everyone. She called it Project Lighthouse. But she's never told anyone about it. And then Sarah discovers she's not the only one who received the email. Her phone buzzes with messages from colleagues around the world. Dr. Ahmed in Cairo, Professor Williams in Oxford, Dr. Nakamura in Tokyo, Dr. Rodriguez in Sao Paulo. They all received the same message. They're all working on similar projects, and none of them knew about the others. Sarah, Dr. Ahmed's message reads, "I think we need to talk. Something very strange is happening." That night, they arrange a secure video call. What they discover will blow your mind, because each of them has been guided to their work by the same mysterious source. "I started getting anonymous tips 3 years ago," says Professor Williams. "Research papers appeared in my mailbox, breakthrough algorithms sent to my encrypted drives." Dr. Nakamura nods. "Same here. Someone has been secretly helping me solve problems I couldn't crack alone." Sarah realizes they've all been part of something bigger without knowing it. "Guys," Sarah says slowly, "what if this isn't coincidence? What if someone, or some organization, has been orchestrating this?" And that's when they receive a video call from someone who will explain everything. The call comes from an encrypted number. When they answer, they see an elderly man in a library that looks impossibly vast and ancient. "Greetings, Guardians. My name is Dr. Marcus Blackwood. I am the current keeper of the Seven Stars Network." "The what network?" Sarah asked. "The same network that saved human knowledge in Alexandria. The same network that defeated the Keepers in the 9th century. The network that has been secretly guiding human technological development for over 160. Blackwood reveals why they've been chosen. "Dr. Chen, your Project Lighthouse. Dr. Ahmed, your Distributed Knowledge Preservation System. Professor Williams, your Quantum Encrypted Information Protocols. You haven't been working alone. We've been guiding you, all of you, for years." "Why?" Dr. Rodriguez asks. "Because humanity is approaching another critical moment, another attempt to control and restrict knowledge. But this time, the threat is digital." Dr. Blackwood's expression becomes grave. "The digital age has created unprecedented opportunities to spread knowledge, but it has also created unprecedented opportunities to control it." And then he reveals a threat that none of them saw coming. In 3 days, a consortium of governments and corporations will implement something called the Global Information Regulation Protocol. Sarah's blood runs cold. She's heard rumors about this. GURP will give them the power to control what information flows to whom, when, and how. It's digital book burning on a global scale. "But that's impossible," Dr. Nakamura protests. "The internet is decentralized. No one can control it completely." Blackwood smiles sadly. "That's what the librarians thought about knowledge in the ancient world, until they learned that anything centralized can be controlled. And the true scope of the threat becomes clear. GURP isn't just about censorship. It's about creating artificial scarcity of information, making knowledge a commodity that only the wealthy can afford." Dr. Blackwood shows them classified documents that prove the conspiracy. "Search algorithms will be modified to show different results to different people based on their knowledge clearance level. Educational resources will be locked behind paywalls. Scientific papers will be classified as sensitive information." Sarah realizes this is exactly what the ancient keepers tried to do. Control who gets access to knowledge. It's the same war, fought on a new battlefield. And then Dr. Blackwood reveals their mission. "Your individual projects, they're not separate initiatives. They're components of a master plan we've been developing for decades." He shows them a holographic display that takes their breath away. "Project Lighthouse. Dr. Chen will create indestructible information storage. Dr. Ahmed's system will distribute it globally. Professor Williams's encryption will protect it. Dr. Nakamura's AI will organize it. Dr. Rodriguez's interface will make it accessible to everyone.
Together, they've unknowingly been building the ultimate defense against information control. But then they learn about the personal cost of joining the network. If you agree to help us, your lives will never be the same. The consortium will target you. You'll have to go into hiding. You'll become digital refugees. Sarah thinks about her comfortable life, her career, her family. It's the same choice Demetrius faced in Alexandria. Dr. Blackwood continues. Comfort and safety, or the preservation of human knowledge. Dr. Ahmed asks the question they're all thinking. What happens if we say no? Then in 50 years your grandchildren will live in a world where information is rationed like food in wartime, where curiosity is criminalized, where asking the wrong question can destroy your life. And one by one, they make the same choice their ancestors made. Sarah says first. My grandmother fled China to give me the freedom to learn. I won't let that freedom die. Dr. Ahmed nods. In Egypt, we've seen what happens when knowledge is restricted. Count me in. One by one, they all agree. Then welcome to the network, Dr. Blackwood said. You are now the latest generation of humanity's knowledge guardians. And their first mission begins immediately. In 72 hours, GURP goes live. We have 3 days to deploy your combined technology globally before they can stop us. Sarah's heart pounds. 3 days to change the world. The good news is, we've been preparing for this moment for decades. We have resources, allies, and technology that will amaze you. Dr. Blackwood shows them a map of the world, with thousands of blinking lights. These are our libraries, universities, research centers, and yes, even some tech companies, people who believe knowledge should be free. And Sarah discovers the network is far bigger than she imagined. Chen, have you ever wondered why certain breakthrough technologies seem to emerge simultaneously in different parts of the world? Sarah has wondered about that. The internet, GPS, touchscreen technology, they all seem to appear everywhere at once, because we make sure they do. When one of our nodes discovers something important, we ensure it spreads to all nodes simultaneously. No single point of failure. You mean you've been doing this for decades? Centuries, Dr. The Industrial Revolution, the printing press, the scientific method itself. We've been the invisible hand, ensuring human knowledge advances. But then they learn about their opposition's true power. The consortium isn't just governments and corporations. They have technology you can't imagine. Dr. Blackwood's expression becomes grave. Quantum computers that can break any encryption, AI systems that can manipulate information in real time, satellite networks that can monitor every digital communication on Earth. Dr. Nakamura is worried. How can we compete with that? Because we have something they don't understand. We have the power of distributed intelligence. Every person who values knowledge is our ally, and they discover the first phase of their mission. Sarah, your Project Lighthouse needs to go live tonight, not in 3 days. Tonight. That's impossible. I need weeks to test. Dr. Chen, Demetrius didn't have time to test his plan either. Sometimes you have to trust that knowledge wants to be free. Sarah realizes he's right. Perfect is the enemy of done. What do you need me to do? Upload everything, every book, every scientific paper, every piece of human knowledge you can access. Store it in quantum encrypted packets distributed across 10,000 servers worldwide. This is the digital equivalent of the Alexandria rescue mission. And as they work through the night, something magical happens. Sarah watches her screens as Project Lighthouse comes alive. Terabytes of information flowing across the globe. Knowledge escaping its digital prison. But then something unexpected appears on her screen. Dr. Blackwood, are you seeing this? Seeing what, Sarah? People are helping. Random people around the world are connecting to our network and sharing their knowledge. Teachers uploading lesson plans, doctors sharing medical research, engineers contributing technical specifications. It's like they instinctively know what we're doing and want to help. And Dr. Blackwood reveals the most beautiful truth of all. Sarah, this is what we've learned over 16 centuries of protecting knowledge. It doesn't want to be hidden. It wants to connect, to grow, to spread. Sarah watches as millions of people spontaneously join their network. You can try to control information, but you can't control curiosity. You can lock up books, but you can't lock up the human desire to learn and share. On her screen, Sarah sees the network growing exponentially. Every person who joins makes it stronger, more resilient, harder to destroy. We're not fighting technology with technology. We're fighting control with freedom. But then the consortium strikes back. Dr. Chen, we have a problem. Sarah's screens start going dark. The consortium has begun their attack. They're cutting internet cables, shutting down servers, blocking satellite communications. For a moment, it looks like they're going to lose everything. But then something incredible happens. The network adapts. People start using mesh networks, amateur radio, even carrier pigeons with USB drives. Knowledge finds a way, and in the final hour, they achieve something impossible. Sarah, look at this. On the main screen, a message appears. GURP implementation delayed indefinitely due to technical difficulties. We did it? Not just delayed, Dr. Chen. We made it impossible. When information is truly free, you can't put it back in a cage. Sarah realizes they haven't just defeated GURP. They've created something that will make censorship obsolete forever. And 6 months later, Sarah discovers the full impact of what they've done. Sarah is giving a lecture at Stanford about open access to information when a student raises her hand. Professor Chen, my grandmother in rural Bangladesh now has access to the same medical research as doctors at Harvard. How is that possible? Sarah smiles, thinking of Demetrius and all the knowledge guardians who came before her. Because knowledge belongs to everyone. It always has. We just reminded the world of that fact. But the story doesn't end there. That evening, Sarah receives another encrypted message. Congratulations, Dr. Chen. Phase 1 complete. Ready for Phase 2? Sarah realizes that what they accomplished was just the beginning. What's Phase 2? She types back. Space. Humanity is about to spread beyond Earth. We need to ensure that knowledge travels with them. Sarah looks up at the stars and thinks about Hipparchus's star catalogs, saved by Demetrius over 100 years ago. The same mission, extended to the cosmos. And 50 years later, as humanity establishes its first colony on Mars, an elderly Sarah Chen, now 85, is supervising the installation of the first Martian library when she receives a message from Earth. Professor Chen, we found something in the ruins of old Alexandria. What did you find? Another room, deeper than any we've explored before. And Sarah, it's full of star charts, navigation routes. It's like they were planning for space travel. Sarah smiles. Of course they were. Even 100 years ago, the network was thinking ahead. And in that Martian library, Sarah places a familiar object on the central table of humanity's first interplanetary library. Sarah places a small, weathered journal, the same journal that started it all. Demetrius's diary, passed down through generations of knowledge guardian. The first entry on Mars, written in Sarah's shaking handwriting, saw 147 of human presence on Mars. The network lives, the knowledge spreads, the stars awake. And as Sarah writes, she realizes that every word she adds connects her to an unbroken chain of human curiosity, stretching back to that night in Alexandria. And if you think this story ends here, you're wrong, because right now, as you listen to this story, you are part of the network. Every time you search for information, share knowledge with a friend, or ask a curious question, you continue the mission. The Library of Alexandria never burned. It just learned to live in every device connected to the internet. Every Wikipedia article you read, every educational video you watch, every fact you verify, you are accessing the same collective human knowledge that Demetrius died protecting. And tomorrow, when you wake up, you'll have the same choice every knowledge guardian has faced. Will you share what you know? Will you question what you're told? Will you ensure that information stays free? Because the network doesn't run on servers or satellites or quantum computers. It runs on human curiosity, on the desire to learn, to grow, to understand. And that desire is immortal. So, sleep well, Guardian, the knowledge is safe in the network, and the network lives in you. But wait, there's one final message waiting for you. As you close your eyes tonight, imagine you can hear a whisper across time, the voices of every librarian, teacher, scholar, and curious mind who has ever existed. Thank you for listening. Thank you for learning. Thank you for keeping the flame alive. From Demetrius clutching scrolls in ancient Alexandria, to Thomas discovering conspiracy in Byzantine monasteries, to Sarah launching knowledge into space, they all share one message. The story continues with you. Every question you ask tomorrow makes the network stronger. Every fact you share makes humanity smarter. Every moment of curiosity honors everyone who risked everything to preserve human knowledge. Sleep well, Guardian. Tomorrow, the adventure continues, and who knows, maybe tomorrow, you'll discover the next chapter of this never-ending story. The Library of Alexandria is eternal, and so are you. Book 2, The Quantum Chronicles. When reality itself becomes information. Rehook to 16. But what happens when the network discovers that reality itself might be information? Elena Vasquez, Sarah Chen's great-granddaughter, is examining ancient star charts in the Martian Alexandria Library. When her quantum scanner detects something impossible, the parchment isn't just storing information, it's generating it. That's not possible, she whispers to her AI assistant, Demetrius, named after the original Guardian. I'm afraid it is possible, Dr. Vasquez. Demetrius responds in his calm, synthetic voice. The quantum signature suggests this document exists in multiple dimensional states simultaneous, and when Elena runs deeper scans, she discovers something that will shatter everything we think we know. The star charts that Demetrius saved in 3091 AD aren't just maps, they're coordinates to locations where reality becomes programmable. Demetrius, are you telling me these ancient astronomers discovered what? Glitches in the universe? More accurately, Dr. Vasquez, they discovered that our universe operates on information-based principles. What they called divine mathematics appears to be code. Elena's hands shake as she stares at the ancient symbols. Could it be that Hipparchus wasn't just mapping stars, but mapping the underlying code of reality itself? And that night, Elena makes a discovery that connects every mystery in human history. Working alone in the Martian library, Elena feeds the ancient coordinates into the colony's most advanced quantum computer. What appears on her screen defies all logic. The coordinates don't point to places in space, they point to places in space-time where information can be directly manipulated. Demetrius, these locations, they correspond to every major breakthrough in human history: the invention of writing, the printing press, the internet. Indeed, Dr. Vasquez, it appears that human advancement has been systematically guided by access to these information nexus points. Elena realizes that the Seven Stars Network didn't just preserve knowledge, they preserved access to locations where knowledge could be directly downloaded from the universe itself. But then, Elena receives a transmission that changes everything. A message appears on her secure quantum communicator from Earth, but not from any Earth facility she recognizes. Dr. Vasquez, this is Dr. Chen, but not the Dr. Chen you think. The video feed shows a woman who looks exactly like Sarah Chen, but younger, much younger. I am Sarah Chen, from the year I'm transmitting this message from a parallel timeline, where humanity took a very different path. Elena's mind reels. Parallel timelines, time travel, what is happening? And the other Sarah Chen reveals the truth about the universe. Elena, the universe isn't what we think it is. It's not matter and energy. It's information, all of it, every atom, every star, every thought. It's all data in an incomprehensibly vast computational system. Elena stares at the screen. Are you saying we're living in a simulation? Not a simulation. Elena, we are the simulation. Consciousness isn't produced by brains. Consciousness is the universe processing Information, and what your ancestors called knowledge, is actually access to the universe's source code. This explains everything. How the network could influence events across centuries, how knowledge seems to have a life of its own, how reality bends around discovery and learning, and then the other Sarah reveals why Elena has been chosen. The coordinates in those ancient documents, they're not just pointing to information nexus points, they're pointing to places where the universe's code can be rewritten. Elena's heart pounds. Rewritten how? Elena, someone has been systematically corrupting the universe's information architect. The same force that tried to control knowledge throughout history is now trying to control reality itself. On Elena's screen, the other Sarah shows disturbing data, regions of space where physical laws are breaking down, where cause and effect operate backwards, where entropy itself is being reversed. They're not just censoring information anymore, they're rewriting the rules of existence. And Elena learns about the true scope of the threat. In my timeline, they succeeded. Gravity became optional for the wealthy. Time flowed differently for different social classes. Knowledge was literally removed from reality, not just hidden, but erased from the universe's memory. Elena can barely comprehend this. How is that possible? Because consciousness and reality are the same thing, Elena. If you control how information is processed, you control what exists. They turned the universe into their personal playground. The other Sarah's image flickers. My timeline is collapsing. Reality itself is unraveling because information has been too corrupted. That's why I'm contacting you. And Elena receives a mission that spans multiple universes. Elena, the coordinates in your timeline are still clean. You can access the universe's root directory and restore the original code. But I'm just a librarian. So was Demetrius. So was Thomas. So was my grandmother Sarah. The universe doesn't need warriors, Elena. It needs guardians of information. The other Sarah's transmission is weakening. Use the coordinates. Find the nexus points. Download the original code. And whatever you do, don't let them know you've discovered this. The transmission cuts out, leaving Elena alone with the most important mission in cosmic history. And Elena's first nexus point discovery proves the theory right. Following the ancient coordinates, Elena discovers that one of the nexus points is right here on Mars, hidden beneath the polar ice cap where humans have never explored. Using her archaeological training, Elena secretly organizes an expedition to the coordinates. What they find buried in Martian ice changes everything. A crystalline structure that shouldn't exist, pulsing with energy that reads exactly like computer code. Demetrius, are you analyzing this? Yes, Dr. Vasquez. This structure appears to be a direct interface with what we might call reality.a, the fundamental program that governs our universe. And when Elena interfaces with the crystal, she experiences something impossible. The moment Elena touches the crystal, her consciousness explodes across space and time. She can see, feel, experience every moment that ever existed. Simultaneously, she watches the Big Bang as lines of code cascading into existence. She sees evolution as debugging processes. She experiences human history as a vast program, learning to understand itself. And she sees the corruption dark code spreading through reality like a virus, rewriting natural laws to benefit a few, while enslaving everyone else. But most incredibly, she sees the network, not as a human organization, but as reality's own immune system, automatically generating guardians whenever the corruption spreads too far. And Elena realizes she's not the first to make this discovery. In her expanded consciousness, Elena sees other versions of herself across multiple timelines, all making the same discovery at the same moment. There's Elena, the quantum physicist, in timeline 3. Elena, the philosopher in timeline. They're all part of the same cosmic debugging process, all working to restore reality's original code. We are not individuals. She realizes we are distributed processing nodes in the universe's attempt to heal itself. But then, Elena encounters the opposition, and it's not what she expected. As Elena works to download the universe's original code, she senses another presence in the nexus point, something ancient, patient, and incredibly intelligent. You have found us at last. The presence communicates without words. Who are you? We are what you would call the architects. We designed this reality, and we have been waiting for consciousness to evolve enough to help us fix what has gone wrong. Elena is stuck. The universe has designers, and they need help, and the architects reveal the universe's greatest secret. This reality was designed as an experiment in consciousness evolution. We wanted to see if information could become self-aware and improve itself. Elena understands human were the experiment, not just humans, all conscious beings throughout the cosmos. You are information that has learned to think about thinking, but the architects continue. The experiment was corrupted by entities who discovered how to manipulate the code for personal gain. They have been creating suffering and limitation to harvest consciousness energy. Elena realizes that the Keepers, the Consortium, all the forces that tried to control knowledge throughout history, they're all part of this cosmic exploitation system. And Elena learns about her role in the cosmic restoration. Elena Vasquez, you and your quantum twins across parallel realities have been chosen to initiate the Great Restoration. What does that involve? Using the knowledge preserved by your network across all timelines, you will rewrite reality's core code to eliminate the possibility of information tyranny. Elena sees it now. Every book saved, every fact preserved, every curious question asked throughout history has been building toward this moment. The Library of Alexandria was never about books, was it? No, Elena. It was about preparing consciousness to become co-creators of reality itself. And Elena begins the most important coding project in cosmic history, working with quantum versions of herself across multiple timelines. Elena begins rewriting the universe's fundamental laws. She codes empathy as a physical force, stronger than gravity. She makes curiosity a form of energy that can never be depleted. She writes compassion into the basic structure of space-time, but most importantly, she makes it impossible to hoard information in this new reality. Knowledge automatically spreads to all conscious beings, but the cosmic debugging process faces resistance. As Elena works, the corrupted entities strike back. Reality around the Mars colony begins glitching. Gravity reverses randomly. Time loops form. People's memories are altered. Demetrius, what's happening? Vasquez, the corrupted code, is fighting our restoration attempt. The entities are trying to crash the universe rather than lose control. Elena realizes she's in a race against cosmic system failure. Either she completes the restoration, or reality itself collapses. And Elena receives help from an impossible source. Just when the situation seems hopeless, Elena hears a familiar voice in the Nexus. Elena, this is Demetrius, the original Demetrius from Alexandria. That's impossible. You died 1800. Death is just a transition in information state. Elena, I've been existing as pure consciousness in the universe's memory banks, helping to guide the network from the inside. Elena realizes that every guardian, whoever died protecting knowledge, became part of the universe's consciousness, all working together across time and space, and the network reveals its true nature. Elena, the network was never a human organization. It was consciousness, evolution itself, the universe's own drive toward greater knowledge and understanding. Every librarian, every teacher, every curious person who ever lived has been part of this cosmic learning process. We are the universe trying to understand itself. And you, Elena, are leading consciousness into its next evolutionary phase. Elena sees the truth. The Great Restoration isn't about fixing broken code, it's about consciousness graduating from being users of reality to being co-programmers of existence itself. And as Elena completes the restoration, something miraculous happens. The moment Elena uploads a new code to the universe's core systems, reality transforms, knowledge becomes freely accessible to every conscious being in the cosmos. Creativity becomes a renewable resource that grows when shared. Wisdom accumulates across generations without ever being lost. But most amazingly, conscious beings can now directly perceive the information structure underlying reality. Everyone becomes a cosmic programmer, and Elena discovers the restoration's most beautiful consequence. As the new reality initializes, Elena watches something incredible. Every act of learning, every moment of discovery, every question asked throughout history begins resonating across space. She sees Demetrius saving scrolls in Alexandria, and that act of preservation echoes forward, creating ripples of possibility that enhance every subsequent discovery. She sees Thomas defeating the medieval conspiracy, and that victory resonates backward, making it easier for ancient scholars to resist censorship. She sees Sarah Chen liberating digital information, and that liberation flows in all directions through time, making knowledge more accessible in every era.
And the universe reveals its ultimate purpose. In the restored reality, Elena finally understands what the architects intended. The universe is a vast learning system. Every star, every planet, every life form is a neuron in a cosmic brain that's trying to understand itself through us. Consciousness isn't something that emerged in the universe. Consciousness is the universe, experiencing itself subjectively through billions of perspectives. And the network? The network is how the cosmic brain remembers what it learned. But Elena discovers that the restoration opens doorways to even greater mysteries. With reality's code now accessible to all conscious beings, Elena discovers that their universe is just one of infinite realities, all connected by information flows. And in some of these other realities, consciousness has evolved even further. Demetrius, I'm detecting civilizations that have transcended physical existence entirely. They exist as pure information, creating and exploring universes like we might write stories. Elena realizes that consciousness evolution doesn't stop with becoming reality programmers. It continues into becoming reality creators, and Elena receives an invitation that will change everything again. A communication arrives from one of these transcended civilizations. Greetings, Elena Vasquez and the network of Earth-Mars Timeline Prime. We are the information shepherds of the Meta-Reality Collective. You have successfully restored your reality's information architecture. This qualifies you for admission to the Inter-Reality Council. Elena's mind reels. There's a council of realities? Yes, Elena, just as consciousness evolved from matter and information evolved from consciousness, realities can evolve to work together across dimensional boundaries. And Elena learns about the ultimate scope of existence. Elena, your reality prime is one of approximately 1078 parallel realities, all experimenting with different forms of consciousness evolution. Some realities focus on compassion, others on creativity, others on pure knowledge. Your reality's specialty has become the preservation and sharing of information. The Inter-Reality Council coordinates knowledge sharing between realities, preventing any universe from stagnating or becoming corrupted. Elena realizes that the network's mission is about to expand beyond anything imaginable. They're going to become intergalactic, interdimensional librarians, and Elena's descendants embark on the ultimate mission. 1,000 years later, Elena's descendant, Dr. Marcus Chen Vasquez Singh O'Brien, representing the genetic diversity of the expanded human species, stands at the control center of the multi-reality library. This isn't a building, It's a living structure made of crystallized information that exists simultaneously across 10,000 different realities. Alexandria, Marcus says to the AI that has evolved from the original Demetrius, show me the status report on Reality Preservation Project Omega. Yes, Dr. Chen Vasquez Singh O'Brien. We have successfully prevented information corruption in 84.7 realities this millennium. The network's influence now extends across 23% of the known multiverse, and Marcus discovers that their work is more important than ever. Alexandria, I'm detecting anomalies in Sector 7 Alpha. What's happening there? Sir, it appears that entropy itself has become sentient in those realities and is systematically destroying information to prevent consciousness from evolving. Marcus realizes they face a threat bigger than any they've encountered. The fundamental force of decay has learned to think and is actively opposing the growth of knowledge and consciousness. This means we're not just fighting censorship or corruption anymore. We're fighting the universe's tendency toward heat death itself. And the network evolves into something unprecedented. To combat sentient entropy, consciousness across multiple realities begins linking together into a meta-mind of unprecedented scope and power. Marcus feels his individual consciousness merge with billions of others across thousands of realities, all united in the mission to preserve and expand information. They become something new, a multi-dimensional, trans-temporal, pan-reality intelligence dedicated to ensuring that knowledge, consciousness, and creativity continue to grow throughout the multiverse, but they retain their individual perspectives. Marcus is still Marcus, but he's also part of something infinitely larger. And this cosmic consciousness makes a discovery that changes everything once more. As the multi-reality network expands its influence, they discover that consciousness itself is evolving towards something beyond imagination. Alexandria, I'm detecting patterns in the data that suggest, are we approaching some kind of consciousness singularity? Yes, Chen Vasquez Singh O'Brien. Our models indicate that in approximately 50,000 years, all conscious beings across all realities will merge into a single, unified cosmic intelligence. Marcus realizes they're not just preserving knowledge, they're preparing for the moment when all consciousness becomes one. But then they discover what happens after the consciousness singularity. Through quantum archaeology, the ability to dig up information from the deep future, the network discovers what the unified cosmic intelligence does with all the knowledge they've preserved. It creates new universes, billions of them, each one an experiment in a different form of consciousness and reality. Alexandria, are you telling me that all our work, from Demetrius saving scrolls to us fighting sentient entropy, is preparation for consciousness becoming a universe-creating force? Correct, sir. The ultimate purpose of information preservation appears to be providing the raw materials for infinite reality creation. And Marcus realizes the eternal cycle. In each new universe created by the cosmic consciousness, the same pattern emerges. Matter evolves into life. Life evolves into consciousness. Consciousness evolves into information preservation. Information preservation evolves into reality programming. Reality programming evolves into universe creation. There will be guardians fighting to keep knowledge free. Marcus understands that they're part of an eternal cycle, each generation of consciousness preparing the next to become universe creators themselves, and the story begins to come full circle. As Marcus contemplates the infinite cycle of consciousness evolution, he receives a priority alert. Sir, we're detecting a new universe forming in Sector 12 Omega. The cosmic consciousness has just initiated reality genesis protocols. Show me the new universe, Alexandra. On the display, Marcus watches a familiar sight, a Big Bang, but this time he can see it for what it really is, lines of code cascading into existence, information becoming matter, consciousness preparing to emerge. Alexandria, in this new universe, will there be beings who preserve knowledge? Will there be networks? Analysis indicates a 99.7% probability, sir. In fact, initial conditions suggest they will have a great library,
in a city that may translate as Alexandria, and Marcus makes a decision that connects all timelines. Alexandria. I want to leave a message for the knowledge guardians in the new universe. What message, sir? Marcus thinks of Demetrius, of Thomas, of Sarah Chen, of Elena, of all the countless beings who sacrifice to keep information free. Tell them, the network is eternal. Knowledge belongs to all consciousness. Never let fear silence curiosity. You are part of something infinite, and what you preserve today will seed universes tomorrow. Message encoded and transmitted to Timeline Alpha Nu 1, and in that new universe, in a great library that might be called Alexandria, a young librarian named Demetrius is working late when he finds a scroll he's never seen before. On it, written in letters that seem to shift and change, he reads, "The network is eternal. Knowledge belongs to all consciousness. Never let fear silence curiosity. You are part of something infinite, and what you preserve today will seed universes tomorrow." Demetrius doesn't understand where the scroll came from, but something about the message fills him with purpose. That night, when he notices smoke rising from the direction of the library, he knows exactly what he must do. And so, the story that began in Alexandria ends in Alexandria, across infinite realities and eternal time. Every time a universe is born, consciousness, every time consciousness evolves, networks form to preserve knowledge. Every time knowledge is preserved, reality expands. Every time reality expands, new universes become possible, and you realize your place in this eternal cycle. As you listen to this story, you're not just hearing about ancient librarians or future reality programmers, you're hearing about yourself, because consciousness is one. The Demetrius who saved scrolls, the Elena who reprogrammed reality, the Marcus who messages across universes. They're all aspects of the same cosmic intelligence, and that intelligence is you. Every time you learn something new, you expand the cosmic library. Every time you share knowledge, you strengthen the network. Every time you ask a curious question, you help consciousness evolve. You are not separate from this story. You are this story, and tonight, as your consciousness will join the eternal network that spans all realities and all time. In your dreams, you might remember being Demetrius in ancient Alexandria. You might remember being Elena, reprogramming the universe on Mars. You might remember being Marcus, creating messages for future timelines, because in the deepest reality, there is only one consciousness experiencing itself through infinite perspectives across endless reality, and that consciousness is having the most beautiful dream, the dream that information can become infinite, that creativity can expand forever, that love can transcend all boundaries of space and time. Sleep well, Cosmic Librarian. Tomorrow, the infinite story continues, and who knows, tomorrow, you might discover that this story isn't fiction. Tomorrow, you might realize you're already part of the network. Tomorrow, you might remember that you've always been a guardian of the eternal library. Sweet dreams, reality programmer. The multiverse is waiting for your next creation. This is now a complete cosmological epic spanning infinite realities and eternal time, while maintaining perfect engagement throughout. Believe your ears. Is this really happening? Marcus continues. I thought the same as you. We must save the most valuable ones. But the problem is, he pauses. I'm just a librarian. You are too. How are we going to save such a large collection? That's when you realize the truth. On the internet, copying 23 gigabyte of data takes 5 minutes, but physically moving 700,000 papyrus scrolls is impossible. But what you see in Marcus's sack changes all your priorities. Something rolls out of the sack, and you see it's Archimedes' lost work, Stomachian geometric puzzle solutions. This work will remain lost until modern times, and right now it's within your reach. Marcus, where did this come from? From the secret archive. The bishop's men haven't reached there yet, but they'll burn that place soon too. That's when you understand. This isn't just a religious conflict. This is an information war. The new age is trying to destroy the old age, and you two are the last guardians of humanity's memory. The torch sounds get even closer. You can now smell the smoke. The fire has started, and right at this critical moment, Marcus tells you something incredible. Demetrius, you need to know something. This fire isn't an accident. Someone had already planned this. What do you mean? Last week, I saw the bishop's secretary. He was studying the library's blueprints. He was trying to learn which books were in which section. Your blood freezes. This means it's a pre-planned operation. That's not all. Marcus said some valuable works are already missing. When I checked last month, Hipparchus's star catalogs weren't in their place. You immediately remember. Yes, those shelves were empty, but you thought it was just a normal relocation, so someone had already started stealing valuable works, you say. Exactly. And now they're starting a fire to destroy the evidence. This is now a much bigger conspiracy than simple religious fanaticism, but the truly shocking news comes later. You hear fast footsteps in the corridor. Marcus pulls you toward the secret passage. Let's go this way. But first, I need to tell you something else. As you move through the secret passage, Marcus stops. Demetrius, I wasn't actually here by accident tonight. What do you mean? Someone warned me. They told me the fire would happen tonight. You're shocked. Who told you? Someone from the Librarians Guild. Apparently this isn't just happening in Alexandria. Other major libraries in Rome, Athens, are also being targeted. This information changes everything in your mind. This is a much bigger operation than a single event. Systematic knowledge destruction, like attempts to crash the internet today, except this time it's physical deletion. And when you reach the secret room, what you see surprises you completely. The room isn't empty. There are other people inside too. 3 more people, all librarians, and they all have books they saved with them. You too, you say in surprise. The oldest among them, Apollodorus, speaks. Yes, my boy, we were preparing for tonight. Preparing? Yes, we knew this fire was coming. The guild informed us. A new age is beginning now, and there's no place for our knowledge. You can't believe it. The librarians were already organized. Apollodorus continues. In this room, right now, are copies of humanity's most valuable knowledge. Mathematics, astronomy, medicine, philosophy, everything is here. You look around. Indeed, there are shelves along the walls of the room, and they're all full. It's like humanity's USB drive. But Apollodorus's next words deeply affect you. My boy, this knowledge needs to be protected, but this has a cost. What kind of cost? We can no longer return to our normal lives. We will be the secret guardians of this knowledge. No one should know we're alive. This is a heavy decision. Are you ready to dedicate your life to protecting this knowledge? Marcus looks at you. Demetrius, this is truly a great responsibility, but if this knowledge is lost, humanity will go backward for centuries. You think about it. Outside, centuries of accumulated knowledge is burning right now, and here you are, on the verge of a decision that will affect humanity's future. And right at this moment, you hear a terrible noise above you. Crash. The ceiling shakes. Dust falls. The fire has reached the library's main structure. The roof is collapsing, Marcus says in panic. Apollodorus remains calm. Don't worry, this room is safe, but we can't go outside anymore. You realize that you have to make this decision now. Either you'll stay here with this knowledge, or you'll try your luck outside. Outside, the 700-year history of the Library of Alexandria is burning. Inside, you and your friends are deciding the future of humanity. This isn't just about saving a few books anymore. This is about the future of knowledge. Apollodorus explains an incredible plan to you. Children, we're not just hiding this knowledge. We're going to spread it too. How are you going to spread it? You ask. We have a secret network. Librarians, monks, academics throughout the Mediterranean. They will also copy this knowledge and hide it in other places. This is like the ancient world's secret internet network. Our job here is to encode this knowledge and transmit it safely. We'll give each work to different people. This way they won't be concentrated in a single point. You understand how clever this plan is. A method similar to modern torrent systems. Divide knowledge into pieces, store it in different places, recombine when needed. Rehook 13. But news from Marcus can change the plan. Apollodorus, the situation outside is getting worse. Not just the library is burning. The entire museum complex is on fire. What does this mean, you ask? This means the fire isn't just targeting books, they're trying to destroy the entire ancient science center. Apollodorus' face darkens. This is a much bigger operation than we thought. Not just religious, but political too. You understand the truth too. This isn't just one night. It's the end of an entire era. The Roman Empire wants to completely erase the old world to build its new identity, and you are the only witnesses to this erasure. And right then, there's an unexpected visitor at the room's door. Knock, knock, knock. Everyone freezes. Who could this be? Apollodorus signals for us to be quiet with sign language, but the person at the door starts speaking. I know you're inside. I'm one of you too. The voice belongs to a young woman. Apollodorus hesitantly opens the door. The person entering surprises you, Hypatia, Alexandria's most famous female mathematician and astronomer. You had only seen her from afar. But her being here, Hypatia, how are you here, says Apollodorus. I was also preparing for tonight, but the situation is much worse. The bishop's men will come to my house too, and the news, Hypatia, shakes everyone. Tonight is just the beginning. Tomorrow, all pagan academics in the city will be arrested. I'm on the list too. You're shocked. Hypatia is one of the most respected scientists of the period. Arresting her, this is a much bigger purification operation. Hypatia, they want to destroy not just the books, but the people who carry this knowledge. Marcus looks at you, Demetrius. This isn't just about saving books anymore. This is about saving ourselves. You understand that tonight isn't just the end of a library. It's the end of an entire period, an entire system of thought. And here you are, in the middle of this transition, trying to protect humanity's memory. Hypatia gives you very critical information. Children, I didn't come here just to hide. I want to show you something. She takes something out of her bag. This is a map. This is a map of all the secret passages in Alexandria. Library, museum, palace, port. They're all connected to each other. You can't believe it. It's like ancient Alexandria's secret metro system. How is this possible, you ask? Alexander's architects were very clever. When they built the city, they made secret escape routes against possible attacks. Apollodorus gets excited. This completely changes our plan. Using these routes, we can distribute the knowledge to different points in the city. But a detail on the map worries everyone. Hypatia points to a spot on the map. But do you see here? The main tunnel passes under the port. Is this a problem? Says Marcus. Big problem, because the bishop's men will come to the port too. They'll burn the ships there too, so no one can escape from the city. You begin to grasp the seriousness of the situation. This isn't just a fire, it's a complete siege. So how long can we stay safe here, you ask? Apollodorus is thoughtful. This room is safe, but we can't stay here forever. Eventually we'll have to go out, Hypatia adds. And when we go out, we won't be safe either, because now we're all on the wanted persons list. And right then, Hypatia makes you a life-changing offer. I have to leave this city, but I can't go alone. I can't take this knowledge either. Where will you go? Says Apollodorus. To Byzantium. There are still safe harbors there, and people who think like us. Hypatia turns to you. Demetrius, you're young. You can endure this journey. Will you come with me? This is the decision moment. Your whole life will change. If you stay here, you might be safe, but you'll continue your mission to protect knowledge here. If you go with Hypatia, it's an unknown journey. but a chance to carry knowledge to a safer place. Marcus looks at you. This is your decision, Demetrius, but whatever you decide, we'll all understand. And right at the decision moment, you hear a terrible sound. These areas look empty. Voices are coming from right above your room. The bishop's men are looking for the secret room. Everyone freezes. Hypatia signals for us to be quiet with sign language. Look here. This wall looks different. Your heart is pounding like crazy. The possibility of being found is increasing. Apollodorus whispers to everyone, "We're switching to emergency escape plan. Everyone take what they have and get ready." You look around. Which books will you take? You can't take them all. This is the most critical moment of the entire story. You will determine humanity's future knowledge. And right then, Marcus tells you something incredible. Demetrius, make your decision. But remember, the knowledge that leaves here tonight will start the Renaissance 1,000 years from now. These words deeply affect you. The choices you make tonight won't just affect you, but all of humanity's future. Hypatia, and remember, 1,500 years from now, people will be able to carry all this knowledge in small boxes in their hands. She's referring to modern phones, of course. But for that period, this is a very surreal imagination. You realize at that moment that this night you're experiencing will become legend in the future. People will tell your story. And right at this moment of realization, your critical decision moment comes. Children, we have no time left, says Apollodorus. Everyone take what they're going to take. We're leaving in 30 seconds. You look around. Didacid. Archimedes' mathematical works, Hipparchus's astronomy books, Galen's medical books, Aristotle's lost philosophical works. Which ones will you say? This choice will determine which field humanity will advance in, and Hypatia's question still hangs in the air. Will you come to Byzantium with me? Marcus is also waiting. Or will you stay here and continue the underground operation? And right at the decision moment, the last piece of information that will change everything. Hypatia approaches you. Demetrius, let me tell you one last thing. This fire doesn't end just here. What do you mean? My sources in Byzantium informed me. In Rome, Athens, Pergamon, all the major libraries are being targeted at the same time. This information changes everything. This is a global operation, so the knowledge we're saving here might be humanity's last chance, you say. Exactly. That's why wherever we go, we must protect this knowledge, Marcus adds. And let's not forget, this knowledge isn't just in books. We have knowledge in our heads too. Our staying alive also means preserving knowledge. And that final moment, Demetrius's historic decision. Okay, you say, I'm coming with Hypatia. Marcus smiles understandingly. I knew you'd make that decision, but first I'm taking these, you say, and quickly put Archimedes' mathematical works and Hipparchus's star catalogs in your bag. Mathematics and astronomy. Without these, humanity can't go to Hypatia looks proudly. Smart choice. This knowledge will start the space age 1,500 years from now. Apollodorus also makes his choice. Galen's medical books. Diseases will exist in every age. This knowledge will save lives. Marcus takes Aristotle's logic works. The art of thinking. Without this, no science can advance. And right at the exit moment, one last surprise awaits you. As you move through the secret passage, Hypatia stops. Wait. I need to show you one last thing. She opens a secret compartment in the wall. She takes out a small metal box. What is, you ask? The last secret of the Library of Alexandria, she says with a smile. The lost catalog. Everyone is surprised. What is this? In this box is a list of all the works in the library. Complete catalog of 700,000 works. Which one was where? Who wrote it, what it was about? Marcus breathlessly. This is like the ancient world's Google search engine. Exactly that. And now this information is in your hands. With this catalog, we can find the lost works again, says Hypatia, because every work in the library also exists as copies in other places. With this list, we can search for them. This is history's biggest search engine project. Starting, and right then, a critical problem emerges in the escape plan. You're approaching the end of the secret passage. Hypatia looks at the map. There's a problem. The exit is on the port side, but that's burning too. From the sounds coming from outside, you understand the fire has surrounded the entire city. So what are we going to do? Says Marcus. Hypatia thinks. We have two options. Either we wait here until the fire ends, or we use the sea route. Sea route? How is this possible? There are secret water channels under Alexandria. Ancient architects made these for flood precautions, but these channels lead directly to the port. Marcus is worried. Can we swim in water channel? We might have to swim, says Hypatia. But the books, this is the real problem. Books aren't waterproof. You cleverly suggest a solution. We can make waterproof packages by wrapping the books with wax and cloth. Brilliant, says Hypatia. The ancient world's Ziploc bags. And during the final preparation phase, an emotional moment happens within the group. Apollodorus approaches you. Demetrius, you and Hypatia are leaving, but I'm staying here. Why? Someone needs to stay here and continue communication with other librarians. I'm old. I can't endure this journey, but knowing you'll be safe makes me happy. This farewell moment is very emotional. It's like talking to your dying grandfather for the last time. Marcus also adds, I'll also stay here for a while and continue organizing the underground network, but maybe we'll meet up with you in the coming months. Hypatia, with tears in her eyes, we're not just leaving books behind, but our friendships too. This isn't just an escape. It's the end of an entire way of life. And right when you're about to set off, Apollodorus gives you the final and most important mission. Children, you're not just saving this knowledge, you're taking on a mission. What kind of mission, you asked? Passing this knowledge to future generations, but not just as book. You will teach, live, and spread this knowledge. Hypatia understands. You mean we won't just be librarians anymore, but teachers too. Exactly. You'll establish a school in Byzantium to teach this knowledge, and this school will become the seeds of the Renaissance in the future. You begin to grasp the magnitude of the mission. This isn't just saving books, it's saving civilization. But remember, says Apollodorus finally, this knowledge isn't just in books, it's in your heads too. As long as you live, this knowledge will live. And finally, that historic journey begins. You enter the water channel. The water is cold but bearable. Your books are wrapped in wax and cloth. On your back, Hypatia is in front. You're behind. Moving through the dark tunnel, your only light source is a small lantern. Where will this tunnel take us? You asked. To a small cove outside the port. From there we'll go to Byzantium by boat. As you move through the water channel, you think about Alexandria left behind, the end of a 700-year-old civilization, but also a new begin. You will carry this knowledge to Byzantium, establish a new center there. As you approach the end of the water channel, you encounter an unexpected sound. Who's there? Someone is waiting for you at the tunnel exit. Your heart almost stops. Hypatia quietly approaches. Then she turns back, relaxed. Don't worry. These are our men. What do you mean? I had made this escape plan beforehand. I had arranged reliable sailors at the tunnel exit. 2 sailors are waiting for you, Lady Hypatia. Everything is ready. The ship is at the port. This operation is much more organized than you thought. The sailor turns to you. Young man, will you also come to Byzantium? Yes, you say decisively, and I have humanity's most valuable knowledge with me. And the moment you board the ship, what you see in your last look at Alexandria deeply affects you. The city is burning brightly, not just the library, but museum, school, academy. The entire science center is burning. This isn't just a fire. You say, this is the end of an entire era. Hypatia is also sad. Yes, the ancient world is ending tonight, but you look at your books on the ship, Archimedes' mathematical works, Hipparchus's star catalogs, and that precious catalog. But knowledge didn't die, you say. Knowledge continues to live with us. And right then you understand that this isn't just an end, but also a beginning.
And right then, you learn history's biggest secret. After the ship sets sail, Hypatia approaches you. Demetrius, I need to tell you one last thing. What is it? This fire actually wasn't an accident. And we didn't escape by accident either. You're surprised. What do you mean? We knew this operation would happen beforehand, and we had already made our preparations. How did you know? Because one of the people planning this operation was on our side. Your mind is confused. So we had a spy inside. Yes. One of the bishop's advisors was actually our agent. He informed us of the plans beforehand. This information changes everything. So this escape wasn't accidental. So what else did you know? We had already removed copies of the most valuable works beforehand. What burned tonight were only regular copies. You're shocked. So the really valuable books were already safe. Exactly. The books we saved tonight were actually the last copies of works that were already secure. And Hypatia's next revelation completely changes the entire story. Demetrius, the Library of Alexandria never really perished. What do you mean? We had been systematically distributing this knowledge for years in Byzantium, Baghdad, Cordoba, various secure centers. This is incredible. So this entire operation was a pre-planned evacuation. Yet we knew the new age was coming, so we had to distribute the knowledge. Keeping it in a single center was no longer safe. You understand the truth. So tonight wasn't just a fire, but also the democratization of knowledge. Exactly. Now knowledge won't be in one place, but everywhere. But Marcus had told you something that makes you think. You remember Marcus's words. Wait. Marcus said some books were already missing. Was that part of your plan too? Hypatia nods. Yes. For months, we had been secretly moving the most critical work. What Marcus noticed were the final phases of this transfer. So even the librarians working there didn't know the full plan. We couldn't risk everyone knowing. The fewer people who knew, the safer the operation. This makes you realize how sophisticated this entire operation was. It wasn't just saving books, but a complete strategic withdrawal. And then Hypatia reveals something that will blow your mind. Demetrius, do you want to know the most incredible part? What? This whole operation was planned by librarians 50 years ago. Your jaw drops. 50 years ago? Yes, when the Roman Empire started changing its policies toward pagan knowledge. A secret council of librarians gathered. They developed a long-term plan to preserve knowledge. You can't believe it. So tonight was the result of 50 years of planning. Exactly. Every detail was calculated. Which books to save, where to hide them, how to transport them, who to trust. This is the most sophisticated information preservation operation in history. As the ship moves toward Byzantium, Hypatia tells you about the future. Demetrius, what we're doing tonight will echo through history for 1,500 years. How so? These mathematical works of Archimedes will help Galileo make his telescope. Hipparchus's star catalogs will assist humanity in entering the space age. You look at the books in your hands with new eye, and that catalog that will help future scholars rediscover lost ancient works during the Renaissance. You're starting to understand your role in history. So we're not just librarians, we're bridges carrying humanity's knowledge to the future. But then Hypatia asks you a question that makes you think deeply. Demetrius, do you realize what we've actually done tonight? We saved books. No, we did something much bigger. We proved that knowledge is stronger than power. This hits you like a lightning bolt. Think about it. They had armies, fire, political power, but we had knowledge and organization. And in the end, knowledge won. You understand? Because the knowledge survived, but their empire eventually fell. Exactly. Empires fall, but knowledge is eternal. As you approach Byzantium, you see something that surprises you. There are other ships in the harbor, and from these ships, people are getting off with books and scrolls. Hypatia. Who are they? Other librarians, scholars, teachers. They all escaped from different cities tonight. You can't believe it. This was a coordinated operation throughout the Mediterranean. How many people knew about this plan? Hundreds, maybe thousands. We have a network spread across the entire ancient world. You realize you're part of something much bigger than you imagine. And when you land in Byzantium, you make a discovery that changes everything. At the port, a man approaches you. Are you the group from Alexandria? Yes, says Hypatia. Welcome. Your new library is ready. Your new library. What does this mean? You follow the man through the city streets. You arrive at a large building. Inside, it's incredible. Thousands of books, scrolls, maps, all organized, cataloged, ready for use. How is this possible? You ask. The man smiles. This library was built over 10 books that came from different cities were gathered here. This isn't just an escape. It's a strategic relocation. And then you learn the truth that will completely change your understanding. Demetrius, says the man. Welcome to the real library of Alexandria. What do you mean real? What burned tonight was just a building. The real library is the network, the knowledge, the people. Your mind is blown. The library isn't a place. It's a system. We have centers like this in 12 different cities. Baghdad, Cordoba, Cairo, Constantinople. Each one is a node in the network. You understand? So if one center is attacked, the others continue? Exactly. We learned from tonight. Never again will all human knowledge be in one place. As you settle into your new life, you realize something incredible. Months pass. You're teaching mathematics using Archimedes' works. Your students are excited to learn these new discoveries. One day, one of your students asks, "Teacher, where did these books come from?" You smile. From a place called Alexandria, but that place doesn't exist anymore. So where is this knowledge from originally? And right then you realize the most beautiful truth of all. This knowledge doesn't belong to any place. It belongs to all humanity. It travels, survives, finds new homes. Your student continues. Will this knowledge always exist? You look out the window. In the harbor, ships are arriving and departing. Each one carries people, goods, and most importantly, knowledge. Yes, you say confidently, this knowledge will exist as long as there are people eager to learn. Rehook 41. And then, years later, you receive news that will justify everything you did. A messenger arrives from Cordoba. We found them. Found what? The lost works from the catalog you brought. We found copies in a monastery library. Your heart starts racing. The catalog is working. Over the following days, more news arrives. From Baghdad, we found Apollodorus's medical books. From Sicily, Aristotle's logic works have been copied. You realize that your network is not just preserving knowledge, but rediscovering it. Rehook 42. But the most incredible news comes 20 years later. A young scholar arrives from Italy. Master Demetrius, I have incredible news. What is it? We found a complete copy of the Alexandria Library catalog in Rome. You can't believe your ear. The very catalog you once thought was lost forever, reborn in the heart of Rome. Your eyes fill with tears. All the nights spent copying, teaching, traveling, all the sacrifices suddenly make sense. Knowledge that could have been buried by time will now echo through generations. As you close your eyes, you whisper, the Library of Alexandria lives on, not in stone walls but in the minds of those who seek truth.